guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. It's Jacoby. So in today's video, I'm gonna tell you guys how to get recruited for college volleyball, which is so exciting because college volleyball was like so fun for me, for the most part. So I'm gonna tell you guys how to get recruited if you're interested in playing. All right, so boom, let's start off. Let's say that you're like a freshman in high school, or maybe you're an 8th grader, whatever it is. Around that time, you're probably deciding like, you know what? I kind of want to play college volleyball. Here's the steps you need to take. First things first, I would just focus on getting really good at volleyball. Like the best thing you could do to get recruited is just to be a really good player. Like that is the simplest solution. So train hard and train intentionally. Like if you want to play volleyball in college, act like it. Like you want to train like it. You want to, you know, like you gotta get in that mindset of, okay, I want to be here. That's my goal. So what can I do to get there? So it all starts with training. And that brings me into my next point. You should be playing club volleyball if you want to play in college. Now, I'm not saying that you have to. I'm just saying it is really helpful and it is a good idea because it really just sets you up for mass exposure if you think about it. So say you're on a club team and you go to a qualifying tournament in like Indianapolis or I don't know, a random place in the United States, right? And say you're not from that region. So say I'm from Alabama and I had a tournament up in Indiana. Like those coaches who are going to that tournament would not have seen me otherwise because I go to school in Alabama. You know what I mean? So you are getting a bunch of exposure by going to these tournaments and playing at these tournaments because college coaches go to club volleyball tournaments to recruit. That's just what they do. Like that's how they recruit players, is really at club tournaments or via email, or maybe they just know of that player because they're at these big tournaments or they're just a really good player. Like for example, like if you're like, I don't know, Gatorade Player of the Year, they're gonna reach out to you. Like you don't really have to do much work because like you are an amazing player. Like you're like a top 10 player in the country. So you don't really have to do that work. But if you're kind of like a regular player, kind of like me, like I didn't have that kind of exposure. Like I was not Gatorade Player of the Year. Like I didn't win a state championship, you know, stuff like that in high school. So I had to reach out to people, but obviously it worked out. So it's really just about like going to those club tournaments and getting exposure at different points in your career. Now that being said, club is expensive and that's like a whole other topic I could talk about, is like, is club volleyball worth it, yes or no? It really depends on what you're trying to do. Like if you want to play in college like at a high level, I would suggest playing club. But if you don't want to play in college or you want to play like maybe like D3 NAIA, it's not really necessary in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But like playing club is also just fun. I think, in my opinion, it's fun to like travel around. It's fun to play different styles of volleyball. Like for example, if we played at a tournament out in California volleyball is so different than Georgia volleyball, right? Or Texas volleyball. Like they play different. There's different styles. Or even teams from like Hawaii, they play completely different than anyone in like Iowa or something, you know? Like it's so cool to play against different styles. Like, oh, for example, like we played a team that was from Puerto Rico, and the style of volleyball they played was more like international, like professional vibe. Like it was so cool to watch. We got beat, obviously, because they're so freaking good, but that's just kind of what I'm talking about. And next, obviously, you want to be playing for your school as well. Like if you're not going to play club, you obviously need to play for your school. Duh. And that's also just a really good way of doing like year-round training, because usually like the school volleyball season is in the fall, and then club season is in the spring/summer, and then there's like maybe like 2-month off season that you can, 3-month off season that you can have. So that's just a great way to keep training, is to play school volleyball and club. But if you don't play club, that's also okay. Once again, you can just stick with your school, maybe get some private lessons in the off season, whatever it is. Now, since you're gonna be playing year round, that means that you should be filming your games. Please. Getting film is the most important thing that you could do when it comes to reaching out to coaches yourself. So if you're gonna be emailing coaches and being like, I want to come to your school, like blah blah blah, you're trying to get like a recruiting like relationship with them, you need to have film. Because if you're not in front of them, like if you're not local to them, if they haven't seen you play, whatever it is, you need footage of you playing, period. So I suggest that you get mom or dad or whoever is at your tournament to get a camera or a cell phone, an iPad, literally anything works. And it doesn't have to be a super HD, like whatever. It just needs to be able to take footage, and you need to set it up and you need to film your games from beginning to end. And I'm not saying that you need to like edit things. Like you just need raw game footage. That is just so important. I cannot stress that enough. And on top of that, the reason why you need film is because you need to make a highlight video. Highlight videos are so important because it shows quickly what your strengths are to a coach. Because, you know, coaches don't have all the time in the world to be sitting around like, oh, let me watch this an hour and a half match for this one girl. Like, no. Like, they need something quick, digestible, easy to watch, on the go highlight video. So it's important that you have footage to make the highlight video. It's all connected. So once you've kind of gathered that, honestly, you can do all of these steps at the same time. It really doesn't matter sometimes, but you want to kind of compile a list of places that you want to go. So, you know, you don't want to just send an email out to every school in the country. That's not really time effective, and you're not going to like every school, and not every school is going to like you, you know, like that's really not how that works. So you want to kind of figure out like, okay, like where do I want to go for other reasons outside of volleyball? Because volleyball should not be the only reason you choose a school. Just saying, like you should like it academically, they should have your major, like stuff like that. Like they should have things that interest you outside of volleyball. I promise you, that's the biggest mistake you could make. It's just to go to a school for volleyball. Because I was guilty of that my first year, and that's why I transferred. I was like, deuces, like the schooling, the curriculum just was not what I wanted. And on top of that, the volleyball was horrible. So no shade, but for real, like I really chose to just to go play volleyball. Like that was kind of like my like I'll just stay close to home kind of thing. Don't do that. Actually, you could do that, but I regretted it. But that's just me. That's just me. And also, I'm pretty sure that you can't start emailing coaches until like your junior year, or like maybe the summer going into your junior year, something like that. You might want to like research the rules that the NCAA has. But yeah, it's always good to start early and kind of have an idea of who you want to target even before you can contact them, just because it's nice to be organized. So outside of like emailing and, you know, all that stuff, kind of mapping out where you want to go, you also need to really like hone in on your volleyball skills and understand like what your position is. So I'm not saying that you need to specialize so early on, but it is helpful. But why, like, there are like two different routes you could take, I feel like. In my case, I would start off as a setter, randomly. Like, my 7th, 8th grade, and 9th grade year, I was a setter. But then I hit a growth spurt, and they're like, you're a middle. So that's what happened. So I trained all positions. Like, I trained setter, outside, middle, right side. Like, all that stuff, because why not, you know? And like they could just throw me different places. And once again, the more positions you can play, the more marketable and desirable you are to college coaches. That's just how it is, because it's like they're getting like a 3-for-1 deal, you know? Like they can play you at outside, middle, right side, setter. Like they are getting a lot of things just for one person and for one expense, okay? So they're like, wow, I love this girl, gotta have her. So you need to kind of know your position. Like you need to see, kind of weigh what your strengths are. You can even ask a coach and be like, what position do you think fits me best? Like if you're kind of in between things, or maybe you're set in your position already, which is great, that's awesome. But if you're not, you can always just ask for like a second or third opinion. What also correlates with that is asking a trusted loved one. Actually, don't ask a loved one, because sometimes they're biased. So ask a coach, club coach, high school coach, whatever it is. Hey, be honest with me. What level of volleyball do you think I can play? Okay? You don't want to ask like your mom or dad, because they're going to be like, you can play at Texas. Like, can you? You know, like you got to be realistic, because you don't want to waste your time. Like time is money. Time is energy, okay? So I did not waste my time emailing like Texas, Wisconsin, Florida, you know, because I'm not good enough to play there, and that is okay. Like you don't have to go to Texas to enjoy playing college volleyball, or like Nebraska, okay? Like that's not like the end all be all. There are other levels and people are perfectly happy with it, you know? Another thing you want to do is get your measurements done. I feel like this is so helpful. So what I mean by measurements, I mean you want to get like your height exactly, because you want to include this like in your email, like when you're pitching yourself to coaches. Like you want to know your height, your vertical jump. That is so important. Please get your vertical jump measured if you can, or figure out some way how, ask around, because that is so important to get. So your vertical jump, your block jump, your approach jump, like all that kind of stuff. You want to get those measurements, because you want to know, like people want to know what they're getting, right? So you want to market yourself in a way to where you can be like, I'm a 5'10" outside hitter with a 10'2" vertical jump, you know, whatever it is. And also, mind you, in order to dunk a basketball, your vertical needs to be like, or not your vertical, like your approach jump, whatever it is, needs to be like 10 foot 1 inch, something like that, 10 foot 2 inch, something like that. So when coaches see 10 foot like approach jump, they're like, oh, like that's an eye catcher, you know what I mean? So you gotta know things like that and you gotta work them to your advantage. Next, this kind of goes back into like the levels of volleyball. And you need to understand that there are multiple levels of volleyball. Like there's there's JUCO, excuse me, junior college, NAIA, Division 3 NCAA, D2 NCAA, and Division 1 NCAA. Usually people only hear about the tip of the iceberg, which is D1, D2, D3 NCAA, but then there are levels after that, like NAIA and junior college, and there's nothing wrong with any of the levels. Like they're all just catered towards certain people, and you never know what might fit you best. Like you might fit better at a D3 school than you would at a D1 school, or you might fit better at a junior college for a 2-year college versus a 4-year institute. Like, you know what I mean? Like you really got to find something that really fits you and that works for you. And that includes like considering location, price. Okay, that is very, very important, because D3 schools, for example, don't give athletic scholarships. So you end up owing money at the end of your college career. Like me, okay? Like you gotta really consider those things. Like, can you afford to go to college? Can you afford to go to college without a full scholarship? Like those are things you got to consider and talk to your parents about. Do you want to go far away from your home? Do you want to go out of state? Do you want to stay in state? Like there's so many things that you got to consider when it comes to picking a college. But that is all like, that's like the fun of it, you know? Like finding something that is like almost perfect for you. And also lastly, you do not have to stay at the college that you commit to, okay? Like I know people are like, oh, the transfer portal's out of control. I love the transfer portal. I am a transfer portal advocate, okay? Because I transferred twice and I went to 3 different schools, okay? So I love a good transfer. It's always a personal decision whether to transfer or not. For example, like I went D3 right out of high school. I could have gone D1, but I was like, I want to stay closer to home. See, that's another factor. And I was like, I kind of want to develop more. So I probably should have gone the junior college route, but I didn't. And I went the expensive D3 private school route, which was not smart because I'm paying for it. But like my freshman and sophomore year, I was like, yeah, no. Like the volleyball level was not up to my level. I hated it. I didn't like the school. It was too small. The location was fine because it was in Atlanta, so I was like, woo! But I thought that was great. The price, yeah, it was just way too expensive for me, and the curriculum, the way it was taught, I did not really like at all. It was like a liberal arts school, and I just didn't like the way things were taught to me. And I did not see it serving me any further. So I had a bunch of different reasons why I wanted to deuce out. So I ended up just emailing a bunch of coaches like that I was wanting to go to, and they were all Division 1 because I knew I was a Division 1 player. I just had to get there. Like I just needed the platform. So I had to choose between Clemson and Southern Mississippi, and I chose Southern Mississippi, and that was my D1 experience. Or I could tell you my D1 experience, but that's not what this video is about. That is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, once again, leave them down in the comments. If you have any questions about like recruiting, volleyball, skill, whatever it is, just let me know in the comments. Make sure you subscribe. That really helps out my channel. Also, liking this video really helps out my channel too. And I'll see y'all on my next one. Bye!